Hey, thanks for tuning into Harvesting Income. This is a channel where you learn about how to make and grow your income. And today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic that most people have heard about. And this is something that is concerning for a lot of people. I've heard from people, they were saying that they are not able to find enough savings or money to invest or open a brokerage account or start investing. uh, there could be various factors, and there could be various reasons why they're not able to do that. And apart from that, there are also these reasons why they are not able to create wealth. And there are some obstacles that are preventing them from creating wealth. And we are going to discuss the top five obstacles that are preventing people from being able to create wealth, and which means they are not even able to create sufficient amount of savings or cash flows to manage their life. So I'm going to quickly now go into the five top obstacles. So number one is the lack of savings. They have little or no savings, which means they are basically living from paycheck to paycheck. So let me just write it down. Lack of savings. So to put it in simple terms, like if your expenses are always equal to or exceeding your income, there's basically nothing much left at the end of the month or end of the paycheck period. Like you just have to wait for the next paycheck, and then you manage the next week or next month, and then and by the time the next paycheck comes, you have drained out all your savings, and there's nothing left. So I hope you can identify with the situation that I'm talking about, and all of us have been through this situation at some point of time or the other, including myself. So there's nothing to feel ashamed about it. The only thing we need to try to do is how to come out of this cycle. Like you don't want to get into this cycle and hamster wheel all the time, right? You want to come out of it as soon as possible and start making positive cash flows. So that's number one. And number two will be another interesting obstacle, which is like a lifestyle or influence obstacle. So this is something like you have a friend and they have an electric car, or they have some new iPhone or something, and you get influenced by them and you try to spend and try to outbeat that person. Like, oh, you bought this latest model, I'm going to do one up better than you. So that's where the lifestyle influence, or these traps come into play, and that is actually influencing you. So the second would be the lifestyle trap, or I can say influence. So I have just given you a few examples here, but you can drop in your comments if you have any other lifestyle traps or influences that is bothering you. Please share in your comments, and we can discuss that. That is the second most common trap that people come across. And now let's move to the third one. And the third one would be a little more personal. Probably someone has a personal situation in their family or within their house, or probably they have a disabled member in the house, or probably the family is poor. They are living in a very small home, or they're homeless, or any bad financial situation, which is not due to the person's or individual's fault, but basically it's just the background or the way they are set up in that environment. So this is basically the environment issue. And of course, one thing I would say, that doesn't mean the end of the world. You can always improve your situation. Doesn't matter whether you start from the street, or whether you start from being homeless, or whether you start from living in a studio apartment. It doesn't really matter. You have to get started somewhere. Everybody got started, and today you see all these people talking about success stories, including the Oprah Winfrey's and all these celebrities and so on. Not all of them were wealthy, or not all of them were well-to-do. Like, they started from humble beginnings, and they made their life better, and they had the courage and ability to come up in life. So that's something I would say is kind of solvable but it takes some effort and courage to do that. So next would be the personal situation. And this could be very different from for each person and differ from person to person and so on. Like, so I've just given you some background, but you can relate to it if you have that situation, and you can share if you don't mind, if you have any situation that you want to share without mentioning the specifics. You can share if that helps other people, that's good. uh, that would be the third biggest obstacle. The fourth biggest obstacle is something like the starting problem. Like, I would say it's a kind of a starter problem. Like, it's not a real problem at all, if you ask me. But for some people, they have never started. Like, they've never been exposed to this idea of investing or growing their money. Probably it's something that is due to lack of awareness, or probably that is due to lack of understanding, or probably they have been looking at the wrong products or instruments for investment. For example, there are people who have no investments, no brokerage account, there's nothing like concept of investing. The only thing they know is the checking account, the savings account, and probably they save some cash under the table or under the bed or whatever, like under the desk or wherever they keep it. So they think that's the most efficient way of doing it. Like, oh, I have money in my bank account, checking, and I have some money in the savings account, and I have some money under the pillow, and I'm fine with that. So any rainy day, any issues, I can handle that. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, because the rate of inflation is pretty high nowadays. You are having some of the items, going up in prices. The prices are going up like sometimes 10% or more, double-digit inflation. So in this kind of environment, your savings account or interest rates like quarter percent or half a percent or even less is not going to move the needle at all, because you are earning half a percent or quarter percent and your inflation is 10%. You are actually negative by a lot. Even if your inflation is low, let's say your inflation is 5%, but still you're making pretty less and you're still negative. And this is actually a misconception that if you keep a lot of money in your savings, you are pretty safe and you can manage your life and save for the rainy day and be safe. Unfortunately, that works up to a certain point. You need to save, you need to have some money in the savings account, but that is not going to help you. What you need is a way to grow your income and a way to grow your assets. That's what is required. So that's the third point I would say, which is an obstacle: little or no savings. Okay, some of you might have noticed that I'm just looking down. I'm just looking at my notes so that I don't get distracted or I don't go off topic. I want to make it very valuable to you. That's the main thing. Like, I don't want to drift away from this topic. So that was the fourth obstacle. The fifth obstacle is somewhat related to the fourth one, but it's a little different. So basically, these people don't have any kind of business or property or any asset. No assets at all. Like, forget about investments. They don't have any other assets. Some people have assets like property, or they have their own house, or probably they have their own business, small business. So in that case, it still makes sense. Probably they're not investing in stocks, but they have their own business that they are investing in and they're making money. Makes sense. However, for people who don't even have a business, who don't even have a property, who don't even have savings, it's completely like there's no way to save or grow your wealth. That is going to be the fifth obstacle. Like, you don't have any assets, no assets. So assets can be a lot of things. It could be even soft assets or intangible assets. Probably you have some intellectual property or brand, or you have certain talent or something that you can monetize. That can also be an asset. So it could be even a property, it could be a small business, or it could be anything, like different types of assets. So asset is something that can put money in your pocket. That's what Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki has defined asset as. It is something that can put money in your pocket. It could be a property generating rent for you, or it could be a business which is giving you some kind of income. So that's how it works. And what is the solution for all of these? Like, the solution is pretty simple, but it requires a lot of effort and time to implement. There are two things you need to do, but there will be a third thing which I'm going to discuss at the end of the video. So stay tuned. The first one would be like you need to actually create multiple sources of income, which means that you already have one source of income, let's say your job or your business occupation. That's your main occupation, main profession. In addition to that, you need to also have another source of income, which would be probably investments, or probably you have another second side hustle, or you have a side business, side job, anything that you can do, or it could be a side project that you're working on. So that helps you to have multiple sources or streams of income. And that is required in today's economy, because if you lose one job or one area gets affected, you can still manage with the other sources and still be able to move on with life and manage your circumstances. Currently, what's happening? You have that job, already living paycheck to paycheck, and one fine day you get laid off, and then suddenly you just lost yourself. Like, you don't know how to move forward. Like, you don't know where the next set of dollars are going to come from. You don't know how to pay your bills. You don't know how you're going to feed your family. It's a very tough situation. So that's one point, multiple sources of income. The second will be, in addition to the sources of income that I talked about, you need to also have some passive income streams. When I say passive income, it is also a source of income, but why I'm saying passive income in particular is because these incomes will require minimal or little effort from your side, but that income comes in with minimal effort. So for example, if you're investing in exchange traded funds or stocks, or if you're investing in real estate investment trusts, REITs, you get some passive income. Basically, you are making some effort initially. It's a minimal or little effort that you're putting in, but for that effort you're getting a enormous, I would not say enormous, but you're getting a steady flow of income. And sometimes if you're putting a big sum of money, you may get significant amount of income, and also you will be able to create wealth over time. That is going to be important in today's economy, because higher cost of living, unexpected expenses, uncertainty in the economy, and so on and so forth. So that's the second point. Now, I said all this, I think I have given you some kind of direction or solutions. So I will just quickly list that down. So solution will be multiple sources of income and passive income streams. But there is one more which I'm going to give you as a small suggestion. If you are starting small and you don't know where to get started to achieve these two things, that would be something like an automated savings, or let's call it freedom fund. Okay, this is a concept which is not just invented out of thin air, and this has been there for a long time. But I read a book called Automatic Millionaire by David Pash, and in that, this concept has been kind of refined and put in a nice way. Like, we always talk about income, budgeting, expenses, and controlling your expenses, differentiating between your necessary expenses and discretionary expenses, cutting off luxuries, all that. You do all that, you do all the budgeting, very good, fine. Like, it's always a good idea to do all that. You know where you're going, you need to monitor that. However, practically a lot of people are not able to do that. Why they get lost? That's the million-dollar question. Why they get lost is because it is easier said than done, and probably lack of time, lack of effort, or people get lost. How do we control that expense or the urge? Like, some people have urge with certain types of expenses. It could be luxuries, it could be gadgets, it could be probably things like alcohol, smoking, or it could be things like traveling out too much or spending on food outside. Whatever the kind of expense may be, like it all different kinds of problems with different kinds of people. The only way you can control that is to have an automatic savings plan, or you need to have this concept of paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is going to be the mantra here. So, for example, if you receive a paycheck, you're going to put 10% of your paycheck into your savings account. Let me give you an example. Let's say you get a paycheck of $1,000 today. So out of the $1,000 that you receive in your bank account, checking account, for example, $100 is going to be automatically moved from your checking to savings. And after a couple of weeks, again you receive another 1,000 paycheck. Again the same thing. Another $100 is going to be moved from your checking to savings. Now I'm talking about $1,000 of income. But if you're earning more like 2,000, 5,000, increase the amount. Let's say you're earning 5,000, on your paycheck. Move $500, 10% to your savings account. Keep doing this on a regular basis, and it moves on and on and on. If you do this for about 10 weeks, you have 10 weeks worth of savings in your savings account. 10 weeks would be roughly equal to 2 months. So if you can do this on a consistent basis, you are building an emergency fund and savings. And over a period of time, you have sufficient amount of savings, and that savings can be used to invest in any kind of assets or any kind of investments that you can make into stocks, ETFs, or even other types of instruments. That's where you start building wealth, creating wealth, and that's where the journey of wealth creation begins. So I hope you like this video. I hope you like this content, and if you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to share at the comment section. I'll be happy to respond back to you. And if you want to see more of this, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you and happy investing.